And we're back with what's going to be part 4 of building the double slot furnace. Now in the previous episode, we went ahead and finished off the rendering with a small gap with the fact that there was another episode before that didn't actually get made. The previous 2 before that were implementation and design. And for this one, we are going to work on just polishing out the graphics. Let's see where we're going to get started. So right now we've got a render system. And we really just need to make sure there's some packet syncing, and that's about it. This will probably be a short one. After all, I hope it's short because I am cooking food and last thing I need to do is burn my food again. So let's see, tile dual furnace. So we've got to set up it checks recipes and everything. It does sync burn times to the client. It does sync cook time to the client. So I think all we have to do is just do a check over here that if has fuel, so what this will be is if furnace dot burn timer is greater than 0 or furnace dot burn timer 2 is greater than 0. So that'll be like we have fuel. And then with this one, furnace dot cook time is greater than 0. I think. We might actually want to add a boolean that called has fuel. Yeah, I think I like that better. Because what we'll do with this one is we'll go, okay, this is going to be our system, and then we'll do another thing called has fuel. And this will just be used almost entirely for the client. And we'll put it up here. So this will be public boolean has fuel equals false. And we just need to find a spot where we can insert this into the code logic here. So we got our check recipe. We have consume fuel. And you know what I'm going to do for this is we're just going to go has fuel equals if we're just going to check to see if the fuel slots are empty. Or not empty, we're going to check if they are actually something. I don't really want to check to see if the burn time is functional. So we'll set this up so that way we just check to see if we have items. And then we'll find a way to make sure that those slots can only have burnable items in them, and that will do the work. Fuel slot 2. So either of the slots has something in it, it'll work. And then we just need to sync that to the client. So down here, write boolean has fuel. I think it needs to be capitalized. And then has fuel equals buff dot read boolean. And that should do the trick. So when we actually go to launch this, all we have to do is has fuel, and then it's burning, and this should animate properly. And then what we're going to do after this is we'll put some smoke on this as well, so it'll spawn smoke particles. Which I'll have to think of like the best way to do that. We probably could just do that literally in the tile entity here. I kind of want to maybe put that on an animation tick. But if we come up to here, and we, at the bottom, go else if not cook time. We'll use the same exact call we just made for this here, and what we'll do is we'll probably turn this even into a method here later. So we'll go if either the burn times is greater than 0, which tells us that we actually are running, then we'll animate some particles. I think we could just spawn these particles at will. I don't think we have to do any fancy code. We are going to want to randomize them, and we are going to want to make sure they spawn at a certain point. So let's pick our pause data first. So our pause data, of course, is going to be our tile. Then we're going to add like plus 1.8. We want these to spawn almost at the exact top of it, so that way when they start to fly out the top, they work out rather well. Additionally, we want to figure out what's above us. So we want to go and we'll do this the old way, maybe. I really need to run this through some kind of system. Actually, I wonder. So if we use the normal world and we get tile. With this will return us, I think, a tile position. And we can get data. Data won't give us anything, so we can use this as a test bed real quick. Because I kind of want to make sure we actually are starting to use the new system more and more each time we work on this. So this is going to be +2, and we are going to want to do. I just realized these actually need to be like that. So there we go. That'll give us a tile. If tile equals null or something. I think this is going to always be a position object, if I'm not mistaken. If we go to the world wrapper, yeah, it gets tile position, get tile position. It's going to just return us a tile position. Let's make sure I'm looking at the right method. So get tile is going to call get tile ditch, which is then going to call. I have a feeling this is going to infinite loop. Yeah, this will infinite loop. I think. Because what this should do is this should make a new. Oh no, it's going to grab, but it's going to get a tile position. It's going to run back through, which means it's going to then run through here. So it's going to get tile position. Okay, and then what we'll end up getting is if it runs through the get tile, it'll create a tile instance. Which tile instance is going to be basically a location object that includes a position. So a position is just going to be location system. And then from this we can do things like get the material, get the block data. So this will actually, it will never be null then. So no point in doing null. So we want to do tile dot get material dot get name equals error. I think. And we don't really get anything else than that. We need like an error method. If this is even implemented. I don't think the materials. Oh wait, right there is tile material. So we can get our actual tile material. We probably should have done it on. Well, there's an unwrap system. I believe we can, from the unwrap method, we can actually ask if it's solid. So you go is solid. Yeah, we'll just do unwrap. Unwrap dot is solid. What's unwrap actually give me? It's supposed to give me a thing, but we apparently. Yeah, let's not worry about this. Let's do it the old way because it's clearly just going to be a pain in the butt. So this would be world.unwrap.get block xi yi di. Eventually I'll show how the new system works. It's not too complicated. Just it's a bit odd to try to use because I haven't flushed out all the details. So if block equals null, which should never happen, and block dot is error, and we just basically go, okay, if we get something back which is null, or we get something back which doesn't exist, or it is an error block. So if it's that, or if it's an error block, then we go to spawn our particles. And I'm trying to think of how to spawn the particles. I think I can do pause dot. No, I think there's a location one though. So if we go like location, and then we do loc.spawn particle, we can spawn particles through the location system. So we may end up doing that because what that does. Oh, these are client side only, so I think we're going to have to use the effect system, which is going to be weird because you do the effect system through the world object. So get a trying to remember how to do this. Okay, let's get world. That's not what I want the world itself. There's a method in here. So there's a method where, yeah, it's called new effect. So effect instance equals dot new effect. Then we're gonna need some kind of key, which is going to be, I think, smoke is what it is. And it's going to be a position, which we just removed, did we? So that'll give us an effect system. It'll put the location data on it. If I can get back to my furnace here. And then all we really need to do is just apply some motion to it, which is going to do it automatically. And I think at this point we just need to call send, because we don't really need to do anything else with it. So we just new effect send. I do need to check to see real quick. Is this not implemented? Of course, I'm gonna have to go find a world wrapper. Spawn particle. We actually could just call spawn particle from the world wrapper. Here's run effect. So run effect is going to assume no matter what, it's a JSON effect. So what I actually want to do is I want to use this method here, the old school method. I probably should fix that so it's not always JSON based, but the effect system is designed for the JSON system to use. You go ahead and close this. Because what you're meant to do is you're meant to actually go, hey, we're going to be building this effect out. And we're going to want to do... We kind of need to do this anyways because we need to put some randomization on like things like smoke. We'll starting position off here, and then we're going to say, okay, we don't have any velocity for the moment. That will work because that's going to send a packet to spawn the smoke client. Actually, this, because we're going to be calling this client side anyways, it'll work. And we shouldn't have any problems. Then we want to spawn maybe a couple of these. And we'll randomize them in a second. Anyways, let's go ahead and load up, and I can show you what we're working on essentially, since if you guys have jumped in and you haven't watched the last episodes, I recommend actually going and watching them and catching up at what we're doing at least. We're building a dual slot furnace. Minecraft will catch up. There we go. So this is what we're working on. So doesn't look too bad. It looks a little bland when there's nothing in it, but the ideal would be is that you would actually stick stuff in it. So let me actually clear my inventory. We'll get some wood, and we'll get some food. Okay, the shift clicking doesn't work. We'll have to make sure we implement that later. There we go. See, it's got a nice little animation it runs. And no smoke. Yep, smoke works. Smoke and flames. What are you? You're a fragment charge. So we should be receiving smoke. Is this code ever running? Huh. This tile doesn't seem to run client side. That is not a good sign. We're not in debug mode, are we? No, we're in debug mode. So I should get a check on that. Let me try reloading the code because that may be what I haven't done yet. So my debug lines are on the wrong lines. Yeah, okay, so we are actually getting a run here. And it is trying to spawn the particles. Okay, so it's not that they're not getting run, it's just maybe stuff isn't being done the way it's supposed to do. Let me close our JSON debugger. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's a bit high. You know, that should actually work. Why is it? Oh, because the Y level's centered. I forgot about that. So when you actually call these, if you're already using a node, unlike my other tiles, the X, Y, and Z are centered on nodes. It's done that way because, well, you want this stuff to be activating on the center of an object. So that's got a nice little system there. We didn't have to really mess with that. So that's pretty simple. We really don't have anything else to do. Yeah, I guess I'll close this episode out. So that's implementing smoke on that and modifying the Tether to run and make sure it's only rendering when we actually have stuff. So these guys aren't going to do anything. I'll probably pretty these up a little bit by actually... No, actually we can do that real quick. What I want to do is if we don't have anything running, so an else statement here. No wait, that's a fire render. We went right here. So if we're not cooking and we're not doing anything else, I want to still render a cube, but we're going to render it as a really small size. So we're going to be at like 0.1. I want this like really thin layer. Right there. So that way it looks like a furnace. It looks nice. It also tells us that's a great way we can debug the Tether, so we know that the Tether is actually running because we can see that in the bottom. And that way when we come in here and if there's ever a bug, like we're getting the client complains like, hey, this isn't working the way it should, we can immediately come in and go, oh, I don't see that hole in the bottom, so therefore the Tether isn't running, and that explains why it's broken. That looks nice. We might want to render like items in here at some point. The problem with rendering items in here is A, they probably won't look good no matter how we try to make it look nice. B, it's a lot of work. And C, we have to sync more data to the client. The inventory is only going to be synced if the GUI is open. So if the GUI is not open, you're not going to get inventory synced no matter what you do. So we would actually have to tell the client what it is we are want to render. And they would also have to figure out how to render on both sides. As much as I want to do this, that would be perfect for another episode. So we'll go ahead and cut this out here, and when we come back, we'll probably fix this shift click on the slot first. That's more important, and we'll do NEI support right here, so you can click on this spot here. That'll probably be an episode by itself. So shift clicking one episode, and then recipe system another episode. Do we actually have? Yeah, we do have recipe support for a few things. Anyways, I'll see you later.